Live from the internet, this is the Crystal Chronicles, your number one source for all things Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Today is September 5th, 2019, and this is episode 67. I am your host, Mark, and I am joined by my co-host, first, right out of traffic, the very frustrated Mino Spellgood. We all hate traffic. How you doing, Mino?
Hey, Mark, not so bad, but the traffic was so bad I didn't have time to pick up a drink on the way home, so I think this is going to be the first time I can remember
Ooh.
I'm going to be doing a show completely sober.
Well, we haven't done news yet, so you have a couple minutes to go grab something to drink. I am
No, I have
also...
nothing in the house.
Oh.
I'm tapped. This is a sober show, a dry show, guys.
Wow.
Unless Grease is drinking.
Wow.
I have exactly one drink I am drinking, but I have to get up super early in the morning tomorrow, so I cannot drink much.
Wow. Well, welcome to Temperance Podcast, all about how being sober and drinking water is good for you. Here's my water. Taste that refreshing H2O. Well, I'm also joined by the voice you already heard. His name is Kreese. We also refer to him as Zerink. How you doing, Kreese?
I'm trying to decide if I want to respond to a student that asked a question about material that's on an exam in 12 hours.
Oh, yeah, screw him. No, I mean, do it. Be nice.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to answer because it's a stupid question. But it's seriously, if he wanted to know the answer, he should have contacted someone sooner than 12 hours before the exam.
Yeah, as an aside to that, one of the responsibilities I have in my greater responsibility to the church, besides my local church, is I am part of a group that basically interviews candidates who are coming up for ordination in ministry in our system. And yeah, we've had some, and this is a professional interview. You know, you have to have a master's degree. You've gone through this process. My process took 10, 11 years. I mean, this is a grueling professional process that we put people through. And yeah, we've had people like the day before the interview contact their mentors or somebody else. Can you read our paperwork? Yeah, you submitted your paperwork 3 months ago. It'd be like going to your dissertation. Like, I have some errors, but can you look at it 12 hours before my dissertation? No, sorry. You gotta be prepared. Be prepared, kids. That's what Professor Kreese and Reverend Mark are trying to tell you. Be prepared. And
do not wait till the last minute to ask for help.
Now, in Mino's
if you
line
try
of work,
to do it in the 11th hour, you're probably not going to be able to find that help unless someone's really, really nice.
In Mino's line of work, the government, they do wait till the last minute, and then just stuff doesn't get done, right? So that's okay.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, well, we welcome all of you here who are joining us on Twitch. Welcome all of you who are joining on Twitch later or joining us on YouTube, or the hundreds of you who download the podcast. We are so appreciative. There's a large community of people who just listen to us and our podcast for their information about Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. So welcome. We want you to feel like you are part of our community, even if you're not joining us live or even if you're not on Discord with us. But feel free every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central. That would be Friday, 1 a.m. UTC. Or come on our Discord and be with us throughout the week. Or join us on Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere. So you can go to tccpodcast.com and get all that information. It is also September on Twitch. So if you're interested in subscribing to our channel, that potentially helps us if we get enough subscribers. We don't have enough yet, but if we did, it would potentially help offset some of the costs that we do. So if you're interested in that, it might be a good time to subscribe to Twitch in September, brought to you by Subway. So thank you, the good people at Subway. Now, there is some news of the day, including these ongoing Twitter quizzes that we've been getting. I have a feeling just by reading the quizzes that they are actually written by Joshua, Square Enix Joshua. If you're not familiar, if you don't follow if you're on Twitter and you don't follow the Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia Twitter account, it is at Dissidia FFOO. That is the official Square Enix Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia Twitter account. So they're doing an ongoing quiz marathon. So every day or two, they've been doing a quiz. We're going to get, for answering like some of the quizzes, we're going to get 250 gems. We're going to get 100 stamina potions. There might be a couple other things that I'm forgetting, but we're basically getting...
Yesterday's was 50 high crystals of each
Oh,
color.
nice. 50 high crystals of each color. So we're getting some free rewards for answering questions right. Now, there was a little hiccup because I think one of the questions was a little trick question. It asked who was the original owner of the airship in Chapter 1. And, of course, none of the people they listed were the correct answer. So it was kind of a trick question. And so they brought another one forward and said, all the right answer, which would have been Mog. I think today's was about who was the first villain we fought.
Who was the first villain you fight in the story? And I honestly could not remember.
Seymour.
I want to say. Wait,
Seymour.
What are the options?
The options are Golbez, Exdef, Sephiroth, Kuja. Who is the first villain you can fight in the story?
Sephiroth or Kuja? I'm gonna go with Sephiroth.
I thought it was. I thought Seymour was on that list. I thought
Seymour was the first one recruited. But
Seymour was
I'm gonna
the first one recruited.
I do not think you can fight him in story quests. You do fight him in
it's Kuja.
Tidus's Lost Chapter, but that's not story.
Chat's saying Kuja.
It's Kuja. That's the answer.
According to the Twitter poll, most people are choosing Kuja. I do not remember fighting Kuja before Sephiroth, honestly.
It was one of the two, for sure.
Well, if it's Sephiroth, we're wrong. If it's Kuja, we're right. Either way, we've gotten several.
Luckily, a lot more people are correct to compensate for me.
Yeah, right. Oh, we also have some weekly gem sales. So if you are low on gems, these weekly gem sales are not anything particularly special. They are the sale prices, and you might get some, like for example, here, I got to go through the wardrobe chests. Lightning's wardrobe, Warrior of Light's wardrobe. Yeah, so the regular kind of wardrobe cost chest is 9,000 gems, 15 armor tokens, 50 of each orb. So, you get extra things. The lower one's some chocobo feathers and armor tokens. The higher one is more armor tokens and guard orbs. So if that's something you're interested in, getting some more gems, those sales are happening every week, it seems. So that's why they call it a weekly sale.
Oh boy. Comments, just a little shout out to chat. Square Enix Joshua is gracing us with his presence tonight, and he just commented that he was going to put Garland in there since he's in the first cutscene, but he refrained. I remember when we fought Garland. We fought him in the Lightning chapter.
I was honestly expecting Garland to be one of the answers. I remember the question was worded so specifically. It's like, who's the first villain you fight not in a cutscene? I really feel like Garland should have been one of the choices, just to catch the people who can't read.
Well, I had a feeling that it was Joshua who was writing the questions, since one of them was about which character was cosplayed during one of the Square Enix mobile streams. So hopefully we all got that right, because it was
people got that one wrong. Believe me.
Oh well, they weren't watching when Joshua was cosplaying as Kefka for the very painful event of pulling for Kefka's 35 CP. But you got it. So there's that. So, So, hey, Square Enix Joshua, thank you for all you do. And we appreciate the great community work that Square does for this game that we all like to play. So Twitter quizzes, make sure you're going on Twitter and answering those, participating in that. I share them on our Facebook page, which is at FFTCC Podcast, so you can catch them there. And make sure you're buying gems if that's something you like to do. So that brings us to our events. We've slowed down a little bit compared to our last episode, but there is still a lot of stuff going on this month, and we're going to be getting a lot of events with an accelerated schedule, which we'll talk about later. But we need to talk about the Atlas raid, which launched right before we streamed last week. And just a shout out to everyone who submitted to Macnol's call to arms for the Cosmos fight for Giant Across Dimensions. I am done, certainly, with the Atlas raid. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was the kind of community event which was really good. So I appreciated that kind of event. Hopefully we'll have more like it. We know we're going to have more raids in the future because Japan certainly did. So I'm looking forward to that. We were talking before the show about the staggered rewards. So some of the individual rewards were staggered, kind of didn't really have anything to do with total points. It had more to do with the kind of days that had passed, maybe, or did it have to do with the number of times we beat Atlas? The individual rewards.
There were staggered rewards that unlocked every day after the Atlas raid unlocked for 5 days that gave us some more high crystals and high shards for just doing the Atlas co-op some more. So it basically, it kind of incentivized people to keep going back and doing the co-op a little bit every day so that they could continue to get the rewards.
Yeah, so if you just did the Atlas raid co-op on the first day and haven't gone back to it, you may want to check again because you may not have gotten all the rewards. Thanks to Eons, we talked to her before the show, and she said, yeah, that's something that Japan has been doing for a while, probably with the raids, that they kind of stagger the rewards a little bit. I like that personally, so then you're kind of rewarded to going back multiple days in a row to do co-op, which I think helps for a number of different reasons. This is
also the case for the Porom co-op, by the way. We haven't gotten to the Porom event yet, but just to mention, there's in the announcements it did say there will be daily rewards unlocked for the Porom co-op to do it.
Yes, thank you. So pay attention to that. We had 74 videos to Macnol's Call to Arms. That's Macnol, who always posts on Reddit. And Macnol always tries to collect those videos. So if you want to make a video, you can submit that on Reddit to Macnol's Call to Arms. 38 characters used. Among them, a couple duo runs. I see a Mathematician, a Warrior of Light, Lena duo run. I saw a duo run from MZ Pro 2. That's somebody I don't really know. Warrior of Light and Vayne duo run. But a lot of different options. 38 different characters used in this Cosmos. Again, it was a single target boss, which gives you a little bit more freedom, I think. But as you can guess, the most used character, Warrior of Light, by a lot. Like, it's Warrior of Light, then Vayne, then Lightning, and then Lael, surprisingly enough, then Sarah, then Laguna. Of course, Laguna had synergy. Shantoto's like down the list, which is sad because she's super powerful. But yeah, thank you for everybody for doing that. Thank you, Strange Vision 255, for the subscription. Appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't know if we want to go into detail this. Macnol hasn't had a chance to get his video compilation out breaking down the results for this Call to Arms yet. Just looking at it, it seems like it might have been a little more restrictive than the past couple events, but I don't think anyone's really taken the time to look at the data yet.
Yeah, I mean, there were 6 boosted characters, but as we know, 3 of those did not receive rework, so are a little less likely to be useful, as Zaz, Yid, and Kader. A lot of people not investing in Shantoto because Noctis is coming out later this month, so people are worried about how they're spending their black crystals. So yeah, so I mean, you know, obviously Warrior of Light came in number 1, and everybody and their mom's been toting the virtues of Warrior of Light, and why not? He's great. so they should. Yeah, so anything else about Atlas, the events, the co-ops, anything else?
I just wanted to add that I really do like the raids. I honestly thought they were more of the beatback challenge, which they technically are, but it was different enough because we got the dailies and rewards for each kill. Like we were talking about the beach bash in the summer. Remember how much of a complaint it was because it felt like we were like they wanted to stagger the rewards, but it felt like it was out of the player's controls. Whereas the raid it was every couple of kills, or was it like every kill? you got some.
There was something every kill, even if it was just kill. The bigger rewards were every couple of kills after the first 5 or so.
Oh, right, but you still got something for every kill, which felt good, feels like progression that's in players' control, and it took long enough to get 50 kills. It took like, what, 4+ days or so? Which I feel like is the perfect timing. Like half a week or a little over half a week is the perfect timing to not, for a co-op not to overstay its welcome. Because especially like look at the schedule we have now. We got a new co-op yesterday. We're getting another one Sunday. It's gonna keep coming hard at this point. So this is what Beach Bash should have been. This pace for sure. Dailies plus individual rewards for the kills, and then milestone rewards for the kills, and plus the and no token system. So I didn't have to burn my books of treasure. It's a very good. This is what Beatback should ultimately evolve into, and probably stays around for a while. So let's see what they come up with next.
Yeah, I mean, there's, if you think about it, right, the Beatback Challenge or the Summer Beach Bash, let me put it that way, with the Beatback Challenge and this raid are very similar events in a lot of things besides just aesthetics. Like the raid, you're fighting one boss, and I mean, but that's all aesthetics. That's not actually any different. So I don't know if it's just the aesthetics that made it feel better, or if it was the pacing that made it feel better, or if because we were all getting Idojas for Warrior of Light, there was just more people playing, so it went faster. But I certainly felt better about the Atlas raid than about the Beach Bash event. I felt this was much
I will
slower,
point
much
out
funner.
one other thing, that even though the individual rewards were kind of staggered, like the old cumulative score and co-op system, it wasn't too bad, and the rewards were organized in a way that most of the good rewards were front-loaded. You got them very fast,
Right.
and at the end, it was just some armor tokens.
Yeah, you didn't
So I like that.
You didn't have to grind the 4 million points to get the best rewards technically, because those last million or so were all armor tokens, which is great. I mean, I did my 4 million points and then some, I'm sure, but you didn't have to do that if you didn't want to. It's not
Right,
like the shards were up. Yeah.
The subtraction of the tokens is really nice for the raids, because again with the Beach Bash comparison, we got 6 synergy characters, or even more, right? Did we get some of the old LC characters as synergy as well? No, I think it was just
for what?
For the raid.
Not for the raid.
For the raid, it's just the Awakening Wave.
Right. So 6 choices are nice, and then if you want to have fun and do the fun runs, you're still contributing to the overall score. Not as much, but you're still contributing, and because there's no tokens, you don't feel like personally it's not like you're getting penalized for playing out of synergy. Everything contributes.
Although you
to the
do
effort.
deal more damage to the raid boss by using boosted character.
Like everything contributes to the overall effort, but you yourself are not getting penalized. Whereas in events where you use non-synergy, you're literally getting less. Whereas you're not getting less, you're just contributing slower.
Yeah, but it's the same thing as if you use non-boosted characters in the other co-ops, you get your rewards slower.
Yeah, but this affects everyone. So it's like eventually everyone's going to get the raid. So it's not like you're losing efficiency yourself.
Yeah, you are. You're losing damage you need to do if you want to get all the rewards out of the individual.
Yeah, if you don't bring...
It's a 0.5x multiplier per boosted character you bring to a co-op for the raid.
Yeah, to get 200,000 points per attempt personally for your own score and for the cumulative score, but for your own score too, for the 4 million that you needed to unlock all the rewards, you wanted to have 3 synergy characters and complete all the missions.
And you want to meet all the score requirements and the missions stuff.
So yeah, the less you use synergy characters, the more times you have to do the event, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I had no problem with the way it was structured. I'm just making sure that you understand how it was structured and what happened if you did not bring boosted.
Right, that's fair, because
it wasn't clear
admittedly
to me
always
early
do
on.
full synergy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I started without synergy because I hadn't pulled Warrior of Light EX, and then I realized that not using synergy, I was not getting as many points.
All right. This is good. This is why we have 3 hosts, 3 different perspectives.
Yeah, yeah. Things that are right and things that are wrong. Yeah, that's different perspectives.
One hand washes the other, you know?
Oh, well, anything else about raids? Raids are great. I was looking forward to it, and I was not disappointed.
Are we going to be getting another raid with the second Awakening wave? Do we know yet?
Well, what JP did was they alternated raids and heretics. So the second wave in JP came with heretics.
Considering how many co-op events we're going to have this month, I think that's fine with me.
Right, makes sense. I mean, I didn't take a hard look at how JP spaced things out and how many overlapping co-ops they had, but it probably makes sense that there's just more co-ops going on now, so that you probably don't want an extra one every month.
We could get Heretics event.
The Awakening Wave is going to come right after the Sync event.
Yeah, it's early.
Whoops,
yeah.
The secret second character event. Sorry, it's not Sync. It's someone mysterious.
Somebody, I don't know who it is. Could be anybody with a mace. How many people?
Looks like Selfie with a hammer.
It could be.
Or in a skirt.
It could be Pinello wielding a mace. Anybody can use maces in Final Fantasy 12, right? Maybe it's what's his name, Larsa with a mace. Who knows? Who knows? Larsa
and pigtails.
To be fair.
Anyways, I think that's enough.
To be fair, I think that's probably not far off the truth. So perhaps we'll get Heretics with this next Awakening wave. Maybe we'll get another Strata on Abyss. Who knows what they're going to do? We'll find out when it happens. So that does bring us to the first of 2 new events since last time we spoke to all of you wonderful people, which is Alisaie's Lost Chapter, Another Realm. Lost Chapter characters now will receive their level 70 awakenings, plus some high crystals, just the high crystals of their color. So we just got some red high red high crystals for Alisaie. But we did not get other additional crystals during her event. So you should have more red high crystals or high crystals than any other color as of right now. But with Porom, you're also going to get white for the shop. So you're going to get some of those. So, Kreese, do you want to walk us through Alisaie Awakening Rework? Because it's a doozy, isn't it?
I forgot to pull up Mino's old analysis to do this. Oh well, opportunity lost. Okay, so Alisaie is a complicated character. She has 2 basic abilities that alternate between 3 different versions, depending on where she is in her rotation. Her first ability is Ver Arrow. That turns into Ver Stone after use, and then after she uses Enchanted Redoublement, which is her HP attack plus, it becomes Ver Holy for her use. Her second ability is Ver Thunder, that becomes Ver Fire after being used, and then finally Ver Flare after using Enchanted Redoublement. So the basic thing here is that her Awakening made it so that all of her abilities now do an HP attack. They do multiple Brave hits. They're all quick. Ver Stone and Ver Fire both do not increase the turn count anymore when they're used, except during a summon or friend summon. Ver Holy and Ver Flare now have Brave Overflow and do multiple Brave hits. So that's the basics of what's changed. She basically does a lot more Brave damage. She does more HP attacks. She gets free turns. Her HP attack plus Enchanted Redoublement also can Brave Overflow, so that's really nice. And also it does not consume all 5 white and black mana that it needs to activate. It only consumes 4 of them, so Alisaie will never run out of her white mana and black mana when being used. The new things she's gotten on top of that are her new additional ability Attack Advance, which for 4 turns after use will increase her own attack and her own Brave Overflow limit for 4 turns. And her new EX ability called Jolt 2 Combo, sorry. The buff it gives is called Duelist, which increases her attack and speed. And Jolt 2 Combo is actually a pretty straightforward ability. It's just a 3-hit magic attack that deals an HP attack. If Dual Cast is currently active, the thing that allows her a free ability use from Ver Stone and Ver Fire, it will be extended 1 extra turn. The big thing with Jolt 2 combo, though, is that it does not increase the turn count, and it has an instant turn rate, which means it's basically a free turn using that EX ability. She gets to immediately take another turn. It does not increase the turn count. So big changes to Alisaie overall are lots of free turns, lots of free ability uses, dealing a lot more damage. She's still really, really fast, and she will steal turns like crazy. But it's not as big a deal anymore because she actually does a lot of stuff during those turns. I pulled for her kit, and I like her. I think she's really strong. Big concerns, though, are that she does eat buff turns like crazy, so be careful pairing her with party buffers. And you also need to be careful facing bosses or enemies with any elemental resistances because she hits air, earth, fire, and thunder with her abilities. So if she runs into something that resists or absorbs multiple of those, it can cause problems.
I just wanted to add that as someone who does very little research these days, whoever is running the Opera Omnia's official Twitter account, I don't know if it's just Josh or people take turns, but the tweet that they threw out once Alisaie was released was a god's, like, this is the most clear I've ever seen anyone break down her kit. And it says, first ability is a Brave plus HP, so Ver Arrow and Ver Thunder are Brave plus HP. Second ability, Ver Stone and Ver Fire, don't add the turn count. Third ability, Ver Flare and Ver Holy, do more damage and have 120% overflow. And Enchanted Redoublement has 150% overflow. That is all I need to know. That is the shortest I've ever heard anyone describe her kit. And the new changes with the rework, and that is just a godsend guide that I use to learn it. So props to whoever wrote that up. That's the simplest I've ever seen.
One other thing I wanted to add, is Alisaie's unique buff she gets after using Ver Stone and Ver Fire dual cast, the one that has a 1-turn duration and gives her free ability use. That can be spent on her additional ability. So she can technically use it more than the 2 uses she gets after she MLBs her Bloomstone. Keep that in mind. It means she burns her ability uses of her basic abilities faster, but she can continue using her additional ability if she wants to that way.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen a lot of on Reddit, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Discord, on YouTube, on Twitch. I've seen a lot of confusion or people trying to figure out how to play her or how she works. I've not found it particularly complicated. I do not have her EX weapon. I have her 15 and 35 max limit broke from her event, I guess. I don't know why I would have pulled on her, but I did originally.
Terra.
Was Terra on that banner? I don't know.
Her EX was on the original Alisaie banner.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, really quick to interject. Priest, you asked the question. I don't know if you ever got an answer. I'm getting PM now. Did JP also get those limited daily rewards for their raids? They said yes.
Yeah.
We already spoke about that. Yeah, Eon's told us in the JP chat that yes, they have been doing that for a while.
Yep.
So I'm assuming it started around now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I think...
I will say Alisaie is a little confusing if you do not know what you're doing, because it's a delicate balance of deciding, do you want to burn more turns, or do you want to be more efficient with your dual cast, or do you want to use your mana efficiently? And I don't think there's a perfect answer for any of those, and I think it's a case-by-case basis. The big thing is that Jolt 2 combo can be thrown at pretty much any time you want because it's a free turn. It extends her unique buff dual cast, and the only thing to keep in mind is that it does give her 2 mana of each color. So if you want to use an Enchanted Redoublement, then a Jolt 2 combo, so you get the mana back if she's capped with mana, that's the thing. She's more complicated than most DPS, though we're also getting Noctis in a week, and I think Noctis is going to be confusing enough for some people.
Oh, I mean, I think we're definitely seeing more complex kits. I mean, Bane's kit was more complex than kits we had seen before. Alisaie's kit is a little bit more complex than that, and Noctis's kit is a whole different story.
Not to mention I know some people still haven't figured out lightning after her rework.
Oh, yeah,
so
right.
There's been a lot of
too.
complicated characters lately,
Yeah.
which I don't have a problem
No,
with.
me neither. I think it's
So
great.
I will agree with that, but to echo a lot of what Chad is saying, and I wanted to bring this up too, but a lot of what Chad is saying is, well, Alisaie is a little more complicated than most, for sure, like more than Vayne and other characters have been getting recently, and more than a lot of characters will get for a while yet. But also it's just, well, what CSDX makes a great point in chat here is saying, like, it's fine for her to have a complicated kit and a set rotation while I'm playing co-op and only focusing on her. But then when you're running like 3 different Alizes, like you got Vayne in there and you got some other complicated, like Noctis in there too, then it starts becoming a lot to keep track of. But compared to all those characters, you're also rewarded a lot less for your effort, to be honest. Vayne hits harder and has more utility. Noctis hits a lot harder and also has a lot more utility. And Alisaie just does not bring the same amount of impact, damage, or utility as these other characters, yet she is complicated. So that's why I really don't like her. But the other thing is, what I complained about when she first came out is that her rotation is more set than anyone else's. For example, with Vayne, you can choose to use the Brave Plus and HP Pluses whenever you want, weave those in. You can choose to throw in the Mock Wave whenever you want for the extra damage and the effects. Or you can even choose to just double up on his second ability for breaks and delay. You can freestyle it however you want. Alisaie is very, very, very set with no, and she comes with all these elements that are to be resisted and absorbed. Like, it's so much effort for so little gain, which is why I really, really don't. I'm not saying she's a bad character. She's effective, but I'm saying I can understand why she's not as popular as the other big characters like Noctis and Vayne, because it is still very restricting, and I really do feel like she doesn't bring nearly as much to the table for the same amount of effort. I know for sure when I was playing the co-op, I had to constantly look at my screen, whereas the other characters like Palom or Porom, very simple while I'm playing at work and just pressing a button and getting just as much work done.
Well, yeah, I don't have any concern with the skill rotation or anything. I think Inkwelder and the Tomberry Troop had a sample skill rotation. I'm not sure, Kreese, did you have a sample skill rotation in your evaluation?
I did not include one, but there have been a lot of posts on Reddit trying to outline and detail a rotation for people.
But yeah, I think it's a little bit more flexible than people are giving it credit for. My only concern with Alisaie moving forward is if you have a boss that resists one of those elements, you're basically...
It gives her a lot. Yeah,
well,
and as...
wasting a turn having to use ability to keep her stats up, basically.
Right. And as there's talking about in chat right now, they're debating in chat about how common are bosses' resistances, because we're not seeing it much now. Well, if you go on the database and look ahead, the farther we get into Cosmos, at least every boss is guaranteed to nullify 1 or 2 elements. And then when you get into Chaos, every boss is guaranteed to null or absorb 3 to 4 elements. So, like, that's why being so... I mean, it's one thing to have access to all these elements, but to be forced to go through it in your standard rotation is what really...
It's not like Vivi. It's not like, Aemons is saying resist is fine because she's doing a good amount of damage, but if they absorb, it's a problem. But yeah, I mean, so if a boss absorbs fire, resists fire, then a character like Vivi is kind of out of luck. But, Alisaie is doing tons of different elements, and if you have some Imperilers like Shantoto, that's going to help a lot. So one element being resisted, it's not a huge deal. It just basically wastes a turn. I'm going
to argue it's still huge because, for example, if you're fighting with the Vivi example, I'm not going to bring Vivi to any boss that resists fire or, absorbs fire or anything. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Very niche character. But for Alisaie later on, it's like, I need to only bring her to things that don't resist any of her 4 to 5 elements, because if any one comes up, not only are you wasting a turn, if they absorb, you're potentially setting yourself up for death, giving them enough brave to kill somebody. Or like if it nullifies, then like she gains nothing as well. So she's not only are you wasting it, you're doing no damage as well. And we can see already in Cosmos that some people are, I think everyone can agree the turn count is probably the hardest thing about Cosmos. Because if you meet that, you're going to get the score, you meet everything else. But turn counts are pretty tight for some people. Right now, turn counts determining who is actually Cosmos viable and who isn't. And that's just such a big deal, I really think. Why go through all that trouble when you can bring someone like Vayne or Noctis who aren't tied to any elements, so they can be enchanted whenever it's convenient, or they can change elements, or just straight up not be resistant.
Well, it depends on what you're looking for, and if you are looking for someone who is weak to magic or who is resistant to melee, then you may want a mage character. So
yeah, and Parsnippin says you can also build around a single element character better. For example, you can do an all fire team, or you can have enchants and imperils focused on that one element for more synergy, but there's no way to cover all of Alisaie's. It's harder to buff her up and raise her effectiveness in all areas.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's an interesting enough character. If you like the character and you like the play style of the red mages in Final Fantasy XIV, you're gonna make Alisaie work for you.
Yeah.
Maybe not all the time. She's not Warrior of Light, right? But you're gonna find a place for Alisaie on your team. You're gonna find a place for Alisaie moving forward in Abyss, Heretics, etc. So
yeah, and Shugo in chat saying, well, we go through the trouble because we enjoy the playstyle, and that's fine. We're not. I said before, and we're not saying Alisaie is a fun character and all that. We're just saying effectiveness wise, because we explore all areas of the game. This is why she's not on the tier of other characters doing the same thing. This is why Vayne can last all throughout Cosmos, and Alisaie is far more situational. Same with Noctis, etc. Like, play who you want to play. I play junk characters all the time. But just know that on a objective comparison, this is how they stack up. I mean, yes,
she's still fun to play with.
Yeah,
yes.
Just to close out the statement.
Yeah.
She definitely has her problems, but she is ridiculously fun.
yeah, even like I said, even without her EX, I've enjoyed using her. I'm going to use her in Porom's co-op, and I brought Alisaie to her Lost Chapter, obviously, and enjoyed using her as well. So more about the Lost Chapter. Remember, our Lost Chapters are not having Cosmos difficulty battles until, I believe, Fang Lost Chapter. So these are level 100 fights. They've become fairly easy for us. Not a super difficult fight. I will say this fight is easier. You fight the, what do they call them? Magic Halo?
Yeah, Magic Halo.
Funny looking clown thing, skeleton guy in a dress. I don't know. He's very fashionable skeleton. I think we had some conversations about this the first time the event came around.
I seem to recall Mino talking and complaining that the devs didn't know what to do with Alisaie the first time, so they made a boss that required her gimmick. I believe that was his complaint.
Right, because at the time, I don't think there were that many things that could pierce veils. Like,
right.
in terms of viable, like, holy and dark damages, etc. Like, you
didn't have to worry about it, though. You just used Terra, who, even though her resistant meteor would break through it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Terra just, like, powered through that. I recall friend Terra just powered through that original event. It was terrifying because she was doing crazy damage.
I'm not gonna lie. I forgot Terra.
Yeah, Terra's in this game. She was really good for a while.
She's on the banner.
I know, and that's
you probably did not bring her to this event.
Although she will be awakened and getting a rework in a couple weeks.
She will be more powerful then.
Pretty decent.
Yeah, I brought for this level 100. I brought Alisaie and I brought Papalymo to basically play the mechanics of the fight. where you have to use an element that it's weak to break its veil, then it's weak to various different things. It is resistant to melee and ranged, and weak to magic. I mean, you could bring any magic character. You could even bring Warrior of Light and just destroy it. Shantoto is a great option. I don't know why I didn't bring Shantoto, but Papalymo was there, and I had them, so I was able to do it with 35-15 Papa and Alisaie without much of a problem. But I played the mechanics, and it's fun. It's fun to play the fight like the fight is designed. You can completely ignore that and power through it and be fine, but it is fun to play the fight. So again, if you're having any issues with this particular fight, come on to our Discord. You can find that at tccpodcast.com. There's a link to our Discord. Jump on. We have a strategy channel that you can ask questions in, or just even in general, ask questions about how to take these events. If you want to learn more about Alisaie, you can go on Reddit, or you can check out our Twitter, or you can go to, let's see, $ evals for all the...
While Mark looks this up, I just want to mention something we skipped over. With the arrival of 70 Awakenings for Lost Chapter characters, we're now getting high crystals in the Lost Chapter as time-limited events. Make sure you're doing the time-limited events for the Lost Chapter so you're getting as many of the high crystals as possible, because you will want those. We're going to be pretty restricted on them for a while.
Yes, thank you. We are getting those high crystals as limited time rewards, so make sure you do that. So yeah, you can check out Inkwelder and the Tomberry Troops infographic for Alisaie. You can track Crease's evaluation of Alisaie under his name, Crease, aka Zarink, on Reddit, or on any of those things that I said earlier to learn a little bit more about the character. The banner was Alisaie with her EX, Terra, and Papalymo with their 15 and 35. Right now, Terra and Papalymo are not great options. Papalymo is not terrible, but not great either. So it's not the best banner, but not a terrible banner if you're looking for some mages, and Terra's going to come back and be fairly useful. Anything else about Alisaie? Her twin brother.
I think we hit all the key points there.
Yeah.
So her twin brother is coming soon, so we'll add him to the mix.
I will say that a lot more people than I thought pulled for her, and I'm glad that they're all having fun.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people. I'm actually very surprised how many people that I saw pull on Laguna. Now, we figured people would pull on Warrior of Light, Shantoto, but how many people pulled on Laguna, how many people I saw pull on Alisaie, how many people I saw pull on Porom, especially with all the talk about some coming characters like Noctis, Pain. Well, Pain, Noctis are the next two characters. People have been talking about pulling on both of those. So I have seen a large group of people pull for Alisaie. So if you did, congratulations, and I hope you're enjoying it. So that brings us to our new event, A Reliable White Mage, about the young Mississippian twin who we don't have, whose name is Porom. So with this event, new event characters now receive their level 70 awakenings, plus high crystals attached to their colors, locked behind gated co-op rewards like the Atlas Raid. So make sure that you're going and doing your co-ops to get all of those. I have not been doing that yet.
Just to be clear, some of the white high crystals come from completing the EX battle, and most of them come from the co-op as time-limited rewards. So make sure you're doing both of those.
There are some in the shop, too.
Yeah, part of the co-op.
Yep. So, yeah. And I was going to say, why are my white crystals not as high as everybody else? Oh, because Warrior of Light. That's fine. Yeah, so it is kind of tough because Porom is white, Warrior of Light is white. So if you're looking to get people to level 70 quick, you do have to kind of choose there. But let's talk about Porom. So, Kreese, can you walk us through the young white mage from Mysidia?
Sure. I made a joke about this in my analysis title, but just to state it here, Porom is an actual Final Fantasy IV white mage, unlike other characters that claim to be in Dissidia right now. Like Rosa. Excuse me there. So Porom actually heals people. That's a major part of her kit, in fact. Porom is kind of the defensive support we have not seen in a long, long time. And her kit reflects that heavily. She has almost no Brave Shave. I'm going to point that out now. Keep in mind, Porom does no Brave Shave. Nothing scales off of her attack stat. Everything she does will either battery a party member or battery herself or battery the whole party. So her first ability is Cry, which gives the party a 50% boost to their Brave based on Porom's max Brave, along with inflicting a defense down debuff to all enemies. Along with this, Porom gets a unique buff called Light Arts that can raise up 3 levels, which is a buff aura that raises party attack. So at max level 3, it raises the party attack by 50%. And once she gets to Light Arts 3, she also gets access to Cry Plus. Cry Plus is relatively identical to Cry, except that it inflicts a better defense down, and it has a chance to inflict Confusion. Confusion is a new debuff that basically disables Brave and HP attacks as long as the enemy is inflicted with Confusion. Downside is that it's a relatively low chance to inflict, about the same chance as Cloud's Paralyze debuff with Cross Slash base. While she has Light Arts active, she also gets access to a Brave Attack Plus, which raises the party's Brave based on her max Brave before doing an HP attack, or Brave attack, sorry. Her second ability is Mississippian Brilliance, which is a huge burst heal. It heals a single target's HP by 30% of their max HP, but the new gimmick for this is that it actually will convert overhealing into Brave at a 1-to-3 ratio, which means every 1 HP overheal is 3 Brave that person gets into their Brave pool. It also gives Porom a unique buff called Light Wisdom, which is a buff aura that can raise up 3 levels, that raises party's max Brave up to 25%. And in the plus form, when Light Wisdom 3 is active, it heals more. The overhealing conversion rate's the same, but it also gives the target a unique buff called HP Damage Reduction, which reduces all HP damage reduces all HP damage taken by 70% for 2 turns after use. Her EX ability is White Wave, which heals the party based on their max HP, and also as another new gimmick, she can overheal with this. So HP Restore can overflow up to 120% of the target's max HP with the use of White Wave. This is the first time we've seen overhealing in an ability. So that's kind of cool. White Wave will also extend the duration of Light Arts and Light Wisdom for 3 turns and give the whole party HP damage reduction buff for 2 turns, along with doing an HP attack after raising her own Brave based on her max Brave. And her additional ability is a party HP heal based on by 20% of the party's max HP, and also raises the party's attack for a few turns. Porom is basically the walking defensive version of any offensive character. Everything she does raises the party's Brave, protects them from taking Brave hits and getting broken, or healing back any HP damage that they take, or even reducing the HP damage they take. She is incredibly strong in that department, and that's what she does. Her downsides are that she's incredibly turn inefficient. She can only dump her Brave into HP attacks using her HP attack or White Wave, and everything else will just accumulate Brave for either her allies or herself. So keep that in mind. She's incredibly strong. I think she's the strongest healer we have in the game right now. She's the best person to defend the party against HP attacks that are unavoidable, but she's not going to be doing a lot of damage in the process. I did not pull for her, so I don't have any first-hand experience with her yet.
Mark, any thoughts?
Yeah.
I got a lot, so let's sandwich you in so we don't you up too much.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of different conversations about Porom. There have been some people that are saying, yes, she's a must pull. There are some people that say, no, she's a skip. Personally, I don't like the character at all. I don't like Palom and Porom. I've never liked Palom and Porom, so I'm not going to pull on them. So I have a personal bias against the characters in the first place. But she does some unique things, right? So she does the HP overflow healing. She does the damage reduction. Yeah, she gives auras, but everybody does that. She does give good auras, but again, that's something that's a dime a dozen now moving forward. But she does a couple unique things. The problem I have is I'm not sure that they're things that need to be done. You know, it's not like they're things that you're having issues with. I obviously didn't have Porom for this Cosmos, and I ended up beating it without taking any damage. So it wasn't something I needed in this particular fight. Now, the argument is there's going to be some early chaoses where she really comes into play, but I'm not sure that she's going to be necessary. And I'm not sure how, you know, the game is just not super defensive. So, you know, it's a style of play. You know, so if it's a style of play that you like, I think that's fine. The one thing I think it was Josepher said in his evaluation video. Also, Josepher and Broadway saying 40 do evaluation videos. Check them out. I think Josepher said, hey, if you have a couple of these characters for supports, you know, you probably don't need Porom. If you don't have any characters for support, Porom's a great option. You know, if you have Sarah and you have Lena and you have Y'shtola and you have Rosa, you probably don't need a fifth support right now. But if you don't have Lena, if you didn't get Sarah, you don't have Y'shtola, you know, you didn't get Rosa, you know, Porom's probably not a bad addition to your team. So I think it does depend on where you are.
Super insightful, super accurate, because a lot of people in chat are backing you up as well. Zyros is saying, this is where I think GL shines with foresight. If you plan on still playing come Chaos, then she's a good pickup, but she's definitely not needed now in the Cosmos era. And Polish Prince, who's a JP player, says, yeah, I'd agree with that. I can see where she might be necessary, useful someday, but clearly very not needed now. I agree with everything you said, Mark, about how like it feeds a certain play style. Not a meta play style, not the best play style, but a very viable one if you choose to go that path. So I accidentally pulled Porom as my luck streak continues. So I initially had very little interest in her, I'm not gonna lie, but because I pulled it, I figured I'd give it a shot. And so there's a lot of insights I got from just playing in the co-ops with her that I think shed a lot of light. One is, Kreese, can you correct me on this? With the auras, does she have the strongest auras available right now? And maybe even for some time? Because it's 75% attack, 70%.
With 3 copies of her Crystal Strength 50 artifact passive, she gets a 75% attack, 50% max brave. It might be the strongest auras right now. If not, she's very close to the top. I think she's the best attack aura right now. Maybe not the best.
I think she also grants a generic max brave for another 20% on. Am I?
No, she doesn't. But she does have a small speed aura, which I kept forgetting to mention.
Okay. I thought I read on the infographic it was 7% max.
No,
okay, so
75 attack and 50 max brave.
Yes, which is very good. Better Rosa, right?
No, Rosa is a little bit better, I think, than that.
Oh, okay. Right. So, and then the second thing is, as for best healer, I'm gonna say that's debatable because
I think I said best burst healer. I didn't say best healer. I'd say Len is still the best healer.
Best burst, because I think besides her EX, which takes about 3 to 4 ability to charge, it's she only heals 20% of someone's max HP.
Mississippian Brilliance Plus is 50% of the target's max HP. So you're off. You're way off.
If you hit the plus with the okay, so that's fair. That's fair. Because honestly, so far I've only been using the 2 charges to get the buff up, and then not touching it anymore because I felt, I'd rather spam the cry. But the lack of Brave Shave is very. You definitely have to pair her with 2 heavy hitters. She's basically an enabler. Rosa becomes super meta later because she's basically just a big aura bot, and she was relevant on her launch too as a mid.
I will also mention that Porom is currently the new Selfie, except we have decent other support options right now. When Selfie arrived, she was the best support aura bot at the time, which made her very, very strong in parties, even though her turn efficiency wasn't that great. She enabled other characters, and I think Porum's kind of in that same boat.
Oh, here we go. Shugo and Aminosa saying skill 2 plus version does give a generic max brave, so she can buff up to 70%.
Oh,
The
yeah,
plus
it's the
version
Max
gives
Brave
20%.
generic I forgot about. Yeah, I
Yes.
just ignored it because everyone right now is giving generic Max Brave buffs because of the Last Awakening wave.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So-
not an aura. That's an additional buff, right?
Right, but saying her alone can,
Yeah.
if you're bringing
Yep.
no other help, get it up to 70%.
Yeah,
It's
and
pretty
Rosa Strafe is saying Rosa was 75% attack, 50% max brave, and 75% eye brave.
Okay, Rose is better. Okay. But I mean, I don't think Porum's to be underestimated. I very clearly remember when she first came out in JP at this time last year, because I remember talking to a lot of JP players about it, because I was really excited because, as you guys said, she brings a lot of mechanics, and I thought, oh, these are such cool mechanics. Like, first of all, a battery-based targets max HP, I thought was very unique, because 50% heal, and then the overheal can go into max brave, and the heal is based on target's HP. So I was like, oh look, finally an ability based on HP, and we get very few of those moving forward. And then the overheal shields with the temporary HP on the EX, and there's just tons of things. I was like, this is very cool. I thought they overloaded her kit with new mechanics. And I remember back then I was like, oh, I'll probably pull on Porom when she comes around, because I love playing with new mechanics. I lost interest by the time she did, but I accidentally got her anyways. But I do really like the concept of the character. And I think the auras are very useful, but I do think that the reason she was slept on is, like Mark said, just not needed in Cosmos, and there are better options out. The reason she's so valued is because entering Chaos, when they start trying to take Warrior of Light down a peg by making majority of the bosses do battery and HP attacks instead of things that are blockable by shield. Because, Warrior of Light reigns so long, because for the next couple of months, everything does Braves or Brave HPs, and if his shields are up, they're going to do nothing. Then they try to circumvent that by throwing in more battery into HP attacks to bypass his shields. And then people were finding it very hard to survive it at the time. And then they realized, oh wait, Porom cuts HP damage by 70%, and just bring her. And then all of a sudden, we got a sleeper hit again. People started realizing how valuable she was in Chaos, because making that huge difficulty jump and having very few characters, as we always talk about. New era. First thing that launches with Chaos, 2 EX pluses, Vincent and Cloud. Though they said EX plus is practically necessary. And so when you have very limited options, you bring Porom, who not only can reduce your need for a tank and up your DPS, but also with the auras and the heals and the damage reduction, you're just enabling your 2 super carries. And, in the beginning of Chaos, you have very little carries. You're enabling your super carries. And so she became a very valuable character. The other thing is, though, this is why she isn't necessary, is that shortly into Chaos, Bosch comes along and does her gimmick and does it arguably better, which is reducing HP damage taken, which is what she was basically used to.
Well,
Bosch
and Rosa's going to come along with a very powerful EX plus and rework, and then Beatrix comes along with a powerful EX plus and a rework that does some defensive things, and then General Leo comes along. So yeah, no, I mean, it's hard for me to say, pull for Porom for those first couple Chaos events. If the first couple Chaos events are that tough, and for some reason you're not trying to get Cloud EX, then great. But if it is such a problem, then just don't get those rewards for those first couple events and move on with your life, because there's going to be better characters. Right. She's not going to last you real long. I don't think that's. Yeah. I don't think you're going to see.
Agreed.
I may be wrong.
She's a stopgap character. Character for sure. Like how I want to say Quistis and Noah are for now. Because eventually down the line, not too long later, there are going to be characters coming that just replace them in effectiveness, doing the same job.
Right.
Same thing happens with Porom. She just fills a little gap if you need that boost into Chaos. So I want to say, like, I think people are over exaggerating, saying she's a must pull and super Chaos viable, but she is a useful character. But I don't think she's a must pull at all.
Well, I think it comes down to, so I mean, people are saying, there's tons of characters with competitive auras to her right now. So, trying to compare an aura to aura is not particularly helpful in my mind. Porom does a couple unique things as a support, and I think that is her defining features. She does a couple unique things which are really interesting. Somebody was saying, it's nice to have some extra supports for Abyss, for Far End of Dimensions, it is, and I agree there. I think it's nice to have a few support characters when you're bringing in different kind of teams, so you can have various supports, various aura bots for your various teams. I do agree. So if you're looking for more support options, I think Porom's a good pick. I just have struggle saying that anybody should pull for Porom. If you like Porom, if you did pull for Porom, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I don't think I could recommend Porom to anyone. I think there's enough good characters that we've had, and there's enough good characters coming up that your resources are spent in better places. I personally would not recommend anyone pull on Porom. If you did, again, I think she's going to treat you well, and you're going to find places for her, but I just can't encourage someone to pull for Porom.
I would not take that stance. I would suggest looking at your current support roster and seeing, do you need a support right now that fills that buff or a defensive role? If you do not have a good healer, if you do not have a good buff aura character, Porom is a very solid option. She's not going to die into obscurity and be useless in an event or two. I think she'll still be carried along nicely by people such as Alisaie. She's just not meta breaking. She's not going to make or break your team if you do or do not pull for her.
Yeah,
so
and then
Aminosa is asking, what about for new players? Potentially, it depends on how new you are, because, if you don't have anybody right now, I think Warrior of Light's really a better option to put your resources on. Obviously, if you don't have Warrior. Now, if you've missed Warrior of Light, you can pick them up potentially in the EX shop next week or next month, assuming we get that. But, it's nice to have a healer early on in this game. And so she would definitely help you through a lot of content. But if you got Warrior of Light and Noctis, you're going to get through all the main content fine. You're not going to struggle as a new player.
Sorry, Mark. I'm trying to because there's just so much happening in chat that I want to catch it all up while it's still relevant. But first, to address something that was addressed in chat that I think we should get on the episode is Yoshi Army 101 saying, if you say a character has 10k HP, if you overheal with Porom EX to 12k and they 3k damage, how does that get calculated in the score? Only damage taken temporary HP does not count towards the score. So basically anything he loses under 10k, that's what hits the score. But temporary HP does not count as losing HP. And the second thing is there's a debate in the chat that I really want to touch on. But before I do that, I want to say I take the different opinion than Mark and Kreese. I do think Porom is a good pull. I just not a meta pull, but I think she's a very good pick. So again, that's why we have 3 hosts, 3 perspectives. I do like that we all have a different view on it. And like I said, I'm not saying it's a must pull, but very good. But moving on to the chat is Eamon says, oh, sure, ignore Porom, just save your gems for Noctis, who will carry you through the first Chaos fight / sarcasm. And I wanted to pick a bone with that comment, but Yoshi Army 101 was already on it, saying, well, pulling for a character you don't like in preparation for a handful of Chaoses is one way to do it, but another way is saying, how about instead of prepping that far in advance, you can just pull on the most recent banner for any event and be fine. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like the first
Yeah,
chaos battle comes, you're like,
let's talk about
gonna
the first chaos. Let's talk about the first chaos. Cloud and Vincent EX Plus. Those are your first EX Pluses. I'm pulling on both of those, so yeah, I'm not worried about the first chaos battles, right?
Yeah, basically, it's like saying like, oh yeah, when the first chaos and the second chaos come, I'm gonna be screwed without Porom. Well, it's like, well, you could either spend your gems on Porom now, or you can wait till then, spend your gems on Cloud EX and get a great pickup for a bunch of chaos in the future. That's over preparing, I think. Pulling for a character now for 1 or 2 fights in 4 to 5 months down the line. Just use your gems there and get even more longevity. It's like a sliding scale. Like, of course you can say, oh, I'm going to pull for Cosmos characters that'll work for Chaos now. Or you can just be like, oh, I'm going to pull for Chaos characters that last throughout almost all of Chaos. Like, I think that's a terrible argument for Porom.
Yeah, well, and because I don't think she's gonna carry you far into chaos. You know, I mean, you're talking several months away, even if they accelerate the pace. You know,
Right.
You're talking a couple months away, 2-3 months away. You know, she's already not doing any damage. You know, her auras are gonna get taken here pretty soon. So, yeah, I just don't see it. I know it happened. I know she was able to get some people through those early chaos events. I think there's just a lot of other ways that we're going to get through those early chaos events.
Slide makes a good point, but you do need extra and rare materials for EX Plus.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas Porom will do fine with just her EX. Yes. So, I mean, bottom line, I think we talked about this enough, but it's just Porom is very useful. Don't think she's necessary. I think that's what all us co-hosts are agreed on. That's our consensus.
Yeah, I just don't like the character. So I mean, that's
of course
be the best character in the world.
Yeah, and you don't have to agree with us. We're not authorities. Just the three of us feel like, well, I mean, not to varying degrees. It feels like I'm the biggest Porom fan here, but I think she's a great character. It's hard to label anyone as a must pull.
Pierre loves Palom and Porom, so if he if he was
her kit right now in the game.
No, I was just saying, if he was here, he would say pull for Palom and Porom. He was a big fan.
Sam says you're right. Porom budget run for just 75k gems. Yeah. You won't need an EX plus for that early chaos.
Or you could spend the 75k gems getting the first EX pluses.
Right. I think it was sarcasm on Sam's part, but also, like Slide said, you need the 75k gems and then the materials as well. So it is an extra cost up.
Yes, indeed. We did have a what is it? We have a banner we've talked about. We do have a Cosmos battle. That's the word I was looking for. I don't know that there's a call to arms yet for this.
There will be soon. Macnol's made it. He's just waiting for the right people to approve it.
Yeah, so that will come up. So go on Reddit and check out Call to Arms. Submit your videos with or without Porom. If you bring Porom, she's going to help you out quite a bit in this because we fight 3 in Cosmos. All up until Cosmos, you only fight 2 Hollow Riders. In Cosmos, you fight 3 Hollow Riders in your final wave. They are weak to Confused status. So when you're proccing that Confused status more regularly, that's called synergy bias. They're weak to ice because, of course, Palom is ice damage. They are immune to max brave down, and they do several debuffs. So they have a max HP down debuff. They have is that it, or do they have a max brave? No, just max HP down. So they can take your max HP down, and they do tons of HP attacks and AoE HP attacks. So you're likely to take damage. And if you don't have somebody like Porom or Lena or Sarah, they're going to hit you with those statuses, and it's going to get kind of ugly pretty quick. People seem to not be having super trouble with it. Have you guys taken on this Cosmos?
Not yet. I was busy yesterday evening and today before we started, so I have not had a chance to try it yet.
I did. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Did you use Porom?
Seems pretty. Yeah, seems pretty. No, I didn't use Porom.
Oh. Okay.
See, that's my mistake. Is I never use the character for their event because I always try to finish the event 100%, then use the tickets on their banner, which is what I did. But yeah, I thought it was pretty standard. Warrior of Light, Renoa, and Lena with a twin friend. So I mean, I think I had some pretty meta characters. And of course, we always say we pull for meta to make the content easier. So like, yeah, it was pretty standard fight for me. How was it for you, Mark?
I saw some interesting runs. I did see a run, and I think it was from.
Priest, you still here?
Yeah, I think Kreese is here. Can you hear us? Mina?
Yeah, I did, but I'm just.
I think I saw a run with no EX weapons with Squall, Freya, and somebody else without an EX. But no EX weapons in it. A Warrior of Light, Squall, and Freya. None of their EX. Squall did not have his EX. Warrior of Light did not have their EX, obviously. Their EX are not excellent. But, yeah, Squall is a great option here as a friend or as a main party because of the full AoE damage that he's doing. So I did not bring him. Fran is a great option, too. I brought Warrior of Light and Lena and Vayne, I believe. So Lena obviously gives the immunity to the debuffs, and the Enbrave Down super helpful, and the healing super helpful. Warrior of Light just dominates in so many different ways. Renoa I've seen, Sarah I've seen, obviously Palom and Porom I've seen.
Everyone's asking us for the TCC challenge for the event, so I'm just going to say really quick because a lot of people are saying, what's the TCC challenge? I don't think we nailed it down yet, but the idea we were playing with it was no healers. As in, no characters that heal other characters, but self-heals like Renoa are fine. But that would eliminate like Warrior of Light, Lena,
Porom,
Freya would
Freya,
Freya,
you know, that's the idea we're playing with right now. It seems, and when we run it by the usual people who usually always do the call to arms and challenges, they said it was a pretty fair challenge because this fight was very possible to not take any damage in. A lot of people just brought a Kefka or Setzer friend, not even like a full unit. They just brought a Kefka or Setzer friend, and they were able to do it. So I think for now, until Macnol makes it official, that's what we're playing.
Yeah, maybe that's just a good challenge.
Self-healing is okay. So, for example, Lightning's EX is okay. Sid would be okay. Renoa would be okay. We're talking about party healing is what would be restricted.
Yeah, but I think it's a good way just to get some different ideas out there. Like you said, Kefka, Setzer. You know, I will see a lot of Sarah and Renoa, Squall, but you know, to see some different options out there. Anybody do? I don't think I've seen a full synergy run. I'd like to see a full synergy run. Very truthfully.
Oh, CSAM's asking, so can you bring Warrior of Light without the EX? Well, we played with that idea as well, but one is
he gives healing without his EX, doesn't he?
I don't think so.
Oh no,
it's just his EX that brings.
So we played with that idea, but I think we came to consensus. Macnol said that one, that would be too hard to track for the call to arms thread,
right?
And two, Macnol was thinking about just banning Warrior of Light's permaban.
Yeah,
is what Macnol said for the TCC challenge.
No Warrior of Light for the TCC
he said just no Warrior of Light ever in any of these.
Now remember, you can always upload any of your clear videos to the call to arms. The TCC challenge is something specific to the podcast, which will basically just give a call out if you complete the TCC challenge. It also tries to increase the number of variations of the content completion. So I've seen a lot of Porom, Lena, Sarah clears. a lot of Warrior of Light, a lot of Squall, a lot of Vayne. So, it's just, some different things. That's what we think. So, yeah. All right.
Oh yeah, another nuance that I think we did touch on is AoE characters are really good for this Cosmos because of the 3 bosses
Oh, of course.
on the same
Now, do they...
stage. So Squall, Twins are solid for this.
Yeah, that's why I brought Twins, and I wanted to say Twins is getting a lot more mileage than I thought they would. I love Twins. Their 100% AoE is just unmatched, and I've used them for a lot of fights up till now.
They also have a nice little boost to helping the party with the speed down debuff on Blizzard and Water.
Oh yeah, the speed down AoE, it's a lot of, and hitting the weaknesses, being dual. They're very good.
I did see some Rydia clears too, Zyros. Yeah, good.
I think Aemon's used Rydia. Yeah.
yeah, I did see some Rydia clears. Yeah. Well, is that it with Porom? I think so. I think so.
We'll touch back on the Porom Cosmos again next week to do the shout-outs. So look forward to that.
So moving on towards host discussion, a couple things. Our friend Red Kane, who's a member of our Discord, hey Red Kane, did a little thing on Reddit about guild numbers. So basically tracking how much it costs to max limit break Idoja and how much gil we receive. So how much gil you were spending to farm artifacts and how much gil we received in our level 70 Golden Cactar missions. So his observation by talking to Japanese players were that we were spending more gil than the Japanese players were to fully max out an artifact, about twice as much, and we were getting about half as much gil from our Golden Cactar events. So I know that there was potential comment from the devs about what that was all about. We just wanted to kind of lift that up and say I thought that was interesting. I don't know if it's been backed up as true or not. We were kind of waiting to hear from the devs if that was a real thing or not. I mean, it really doesn't matter to me, one way or the other. If we're spending more money than Japan is, I don't feel like, they owe us anything. But I think it was Ink who said kind of the devil's advocate is, we're always complaining about how much gil we have and not enough things to spend our gil on. So who cares if we're spending more gil on artifacts than
honestly
Japan.
I'm of that opinion too, because before we had Idojas as a regular thing for a lot of characters, there were a lot of people on the Crystal Chronicles Discord that were saying, yeah, I'm capped on gil. I don't know what I'm going to do with it ever. Please give us something to do with the gil. And then we got Idojas, and now a couple months later, people are complaining that they have too little gil to spend on Idoja fill and artifact farming. So it's a weird thing going on.
Yeah, Eamon is saying JP has more things to spend gil on. That's probably 100% true. I generally am pretty level on gil. I usually get as much as I spend, so I'm not having that issue. But I could see, yeah, if you're, I think one of the ideas was that it takes about a run of just a normal run of the Golden Cactar event to pay for an artifact. So that's a lot of grinding gil to pay for the artifacts. Now, once we get the double cycle quests and also using books and stuff, then that might be a little bit different. Yeah. So, anything else on the gil questions? We'll share if we get more kind of clarification from the devs on that. We'll make sure to share that with you.
Yeah, I mean, just to expand on a little, I didn't know how much we wanted. I did want to cover Ink's point of view a little more though. But for now, Square Enix Joshua already said, I think he's not with us anymore, unfortunately, because I'm sure he would have spoke up about this in chat. but he already said that this is misinformation, aka fake news. And he said he was going to officially, but he hasn't. But the takeaway I got was that maybe JP, it doesn't cost as much in current JP, but maybe at this time it did. And they only lowered the cost when, as Eamon said, there were more things to spend gil on in JP, as in when they started getting the armor EX pluses and the weapon EX pluses, and that started to eat gil up like crazy. That's when they reduced the gil cost. So we'll report back on that. Too bad he's not here anymore.
Gilgate 2019. No,
but
Something
the
to talk
GL
about.
devs are saying that is fake news. So let's not jump to any conclusions yet. But I'll just read this thing that Inkwelder said, which I pretty much agree with. Exactly. He put it in much briefer form than I did, which is basically Inkwelder said that as someone who fervently farms these artifacts, like not just casually, but he tries to get good artifacts for everyone, he's had no problem getting gil back either through excessive, like when he gets his co-op tokens, he'll spend it on orbs to sell, which he says nets a lot of money. And then you got the gold cactars. He's like, when was the last time anyone used gil books, right? Like he's like
he's book for the first time this last Sunday because I noticed it drop below.
Right? I have like 150 gil books. Like I don't think anyone used them, and now you're suddenly complaining gil's a problem. Like first of all, as someone who was capped on gil since January, and I dreaded gil rewards. I had to go out of my way to spend gil to get those gil rewards. And then they're just constantly throwing gil at us too. Like Bree said, every raid boss kill is a bunch of gil. You got gil dailies. You've got gil weeklies. I used to avoid the golden cactars on Sun. Like I wouldn't do cycle quests on Sunday because I didn't want to overfill with gil. Now, and then I have like hundreds and hundreds of keys as well. So I know that there can't be too many people that are different. You can't be short on keys, gil books, and you're telling me you can't pop a quick key, pop a gil book, and just auto golden cactars for 30 minutes. I'm not saying pay attention and farm optimally. I'm just saying hit the auto button and watch it go, and you'll get over 1 million gil. Like, I don't see how this is a problem, but I am open to different.
I am fairly busy on Sunday, so I do not I mean, I probably play for 10 minutes on Sunday,
right.
if that. So I never grind the Sunday dailies. But I certainly could pop a key, and I should probably do that.
We are going to be getting double cycle quest rewards again, starting in a couple of days. So
I have a whole bunch of characters to level.
There you go,
so,
double gil, even more gil, guys. You can potentially get 6 times gil on golden cactar. You get a flower that's like 5 million gil.
Just about. Well, let's go on to another topic. If we do hear an official statement from the devs or from the community managers, we'll let you know. I'm not too concerned about it, but it's something we were wanted to talk about. I want to talk about this month because for the first time, we kind of hit on it last month, but I want to talk about because I don't think we're talking about it maybe enough. The lasting impact of having 3 LCs, 3 character events, and 2 awakening waves packed into 1 month. Now, if you've been somewhere else for the last year, we generally have 2 character events, 2 LCs, and I believe when we had level 60s, 1 character awakening wave a month, and I believe Japan had about 1 character awakening a month. They may have been spread out a little bit.
To be clear, Mark, before we go any further, our awakening waves were pretty neatly separated by about 3 weeks.
3 weeks
each wave.
Yeah.
From the beginning, it was a little faster than I think it happened in Japan, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah. So these are about 3
away.
weeks. Correct. 3 weeks between these 2.
I mean the spacing between awakening waves, not the fact that we skipped a wave.
Oh no, I'm saying
no.
because it was consistent. That's how much faster our schedule was because they shoved in the extra awakenings and LCs and stuff. We were able to skip a wave. Like so, if
Yeah.
it follows here, we're gonna be. We could be instead of 10 months behind JP, we could end up 9 months.
Well,
JP.
that's kind of what I want to talk about. What do you think? Why are we having this month? You know, is it just because that's the way the calendar is? I think Inkwelder was speculating. You know, it has to do with the EX Plus era hitting around Black Friday, and you know the sales boom towards the end of the year. So that's one possibility, speculation.
I have the Occam's razor opinion on what's happening. They haven't moved the Lost Chapter, Sylphie Lost Chapter up that much, maybe half a week.
Yeah.
So the difference is that we're seeing it on the calendar for the end of September, but it was going to be at the end of September either way. There was no way it wasn't going to be in the last week of September somewhere. So what they've done is I think they're nudging in a little bit of time to fit in another Lost Chapter for a character that was global first that should be coming up in a month or two if we actually get a Lost Chapter for that character on the timeline when we originally got her event, without messing with the timeline too much compared to what Japan got.
Yeah, so
Beatrix.
that is
They're
right.
trying to squeeze in a Beatrix Lost Chapter.
Yeah, that is another topic of conversation that has come up. The idea that we are actually going to get Beatrix Lost Chapter. Now that brings a whole bunch of speculation about, okay, if we get Beatrix Lost Chapter, what are we going to get? Are we going to get her level 70? Certainly, if we get her rework, it will be ridiculous. That would be too soon to get her EX Plus. But, you know, so what will we get and what will it mean for her? Or will we just get her repeated, level 60 even, without much...
Oh,
no,
she'll get her 70 Awakening. And
I would say
rework
at least level 70.
I don't know when they'll time it. They might push it back a
rework.
little bit and get her EX Plus in there at the beginning of the era, but she'd probably be too strong then. We'll see. But my assumption is they're trying to squeeze in a little bit of space to make time for an extra Lost Chapter somewhere in there without having to delay it for it.
Crisis Core is asking, did Noctis being shifted forward make EX Plus come soon with him? Noctis just got we're back on the schedule that Japan had. So our schedule in GL for those original events were messed up, but now we're back to the schedule they had. So our current schedule, the order of it should not mess with EX Plus. The first EX Plus came with Cloud and Vincent, their Awakening Wave, which I believe is Awakening Wave 4. So, I mean, that's, again, if we're talking about getting... If we get 2 Awakening Waves in October, are we talking about EX Pluses in October? Or are we, you know, if we have 3 weeks between Awakening Waves, are we just going to get 1 in October and 1 early November? And then we're talking early November for EX Plus weapons. Because that's certainly sooner than I was anticipating. You know, in my kind of look at things, I was looking for basically... 1 Awakening Wave a month.
It's about an Awakening Wave every 3 weeks, the same way it was at level 60 with us. We were getting about an Awakening Wave every 3 weeks. And that seems to be what they're doing here. It's about 3 weeks between the first Awakening Wave and the second one for this month.
But was that the case in Japan, I guess is my question. In this era, was it about 3 weeks between Awakening Waves? Or was it more than that? Because I should pull up Inkwelder's forecast here. Because I mean, we're not that far away from EX Plus era, which means we're not that far away from Chaos era. If we're kind of going on the current schedule.
I don't think we have any hard data on that, but we can always report back next time for it.
Well, so I mean, Chaos came with Garland and Warrior of Light on Garland's event, right? And
the early FEOD beta came out with Cloud basically near the end, so a little before that,
which would have been before that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first EX Plus, Cloud and Vincent EX Plus,
Yeah.
and that's Awakening Banner 4. So what I'm saying is, Garland is probably going to be December, maybe late November, but arguably December. If Awakening 4 comes in October, that's real early compared to Japan. That's kind of what I'm getting at. For
it might
EX
be an
Plus.
intentional plan to nudge us a little forward and give us a couple more EX pluses before Chaos drops, to try to ease the burden of having to have specific EX characters to make it feasible to even complete the events.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Fang LC is the first Lost Chapter that has Cosmos difficulties. But yeah, is this a way to give us more options in Cosmos and then give us more options going into Chaos for, because Chaos was kind of a beta for a while in Japan. Are we going to skip that here in Global and basically kind of go into a revamped Chaos era? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Again, I don't know, but I think we're in for some changes compared to what they experienced in Japan.
I think I would not be surprised if you were right, because I believe the transition into Chaos was the harshest, and there was the most outcry from player base into the transition to Chaos. It could have been much smoother, and I think the reason they even called it a beta the first time, FEOD beta, is because they probably, of course, don't want to repeat that experience on their second chance on GL. Like, clearly they said they were testing things out, and obviously they're not going to re-beta us in GL, right? Like, it's got to be a
just to walk through the calendar. Our first Awakening wave was September 29th or August 29th. Our second Awakening wave 3 weeks later is going to be September 19th. So we know that. So technically we had an Awakening wave in August and we have an Awakening wave in September. So that's technically 2 different months, 3 weeks, just like Chris said. So 3 weeks from there would be the 10th of October.
October 10th.
And then 3 weeks would be
the 31st.
So yeah, you're potentially talking early November for Cloud EX and Vincent EX, which for at least for my timeline,
you're talking EX Plus.
EX Plus, correct. For my timeline's about a month before schedule, which would give us a month for more use out of those characters. Yeah, so now if they continue to give us 3 LCs and 3 events, I'm not sure that that's happening. I would guess not, but if they do, then who knows? Everything could be kind of up in the air. Could be very interesting if we keep getting that accelerated rate. So a question, just one final question to kind of piggyback up this, kind of, with all of this content, we've got, we have Awakening waves in August and September, but it's kind of since the mobile stream. If you needed to pick just one character to pull for in September, there's been a lot of hyped characters in September. Who would you pull for and why? So let's eliminate, very technically, Awakening Wave 1 was in August. So Warrior of Light, Shantoto off the table. So looking at September, we have Alisaie, Porom, Pain, Noctis, Sync, Ramza EX, Terra EX, Yuna EX, Selfie, Prompto. So if you were saying, well, I can just pull on one of those, guarantee I have enough gems for one character, who would you guys pick as your one character for September?
I'm pretty sure Kreese has a different opinion than me, because he specifically asked me this the other night, I believe. And so, just to relate to the last conversation, my personal choice is Noctis, and my reasoning is, just as Eamon was saying about pulling characters prepared for another era, I would rather pull for characters that are going to be immediately useful now for a while. So Noctis is proven to be very viable, if not like meta, for 2+ months. Grab me 2+ months of gems, and then when we hit chaos and there's a wall, then I'll have 2k plus months of gems to spend on chaos going forward. So I always look at what is immediately useful instead of. I know there are a lot of people who pulled during the Hell month because I know there several people pulled for Ace's EX debut because they knew that Ace was going to become amazing on his 70 Awakening. But that was pulling for a whole year in advance. And every single one of those people, admittedly, I'm only talking to 3 or 4 who actually did that and are in our Discord, said they regret it. Like, they regret it so much because they could have just pulled on Ace coming up on better banners. Or, like, it's a waste of gems because they didn't need Ace the entire year until he came back. And that's how I feel like it's really foolish to plan that far ahead. And that you should look at what's immediately useful because it will net you resources to get what will be useful again in the future. I don't think you're ever punished for waiting at all in this game, honestly.
I'm of the opinion that you should pull for what you want now or for favorites. Never skip favorites if you can avoid it, and pull for what you need to finish content right now. Pulling for the futures has always seemed silly for me. It's the reason I skipped Noctis when he first arrived. You didn't need him then, and while he's supposed to be amazing when he arrives with his 70 Awakening, I might skip him now too because I've made some bad decisions in the last couple weeks. But anyways, beyond that, I think all the characters this month have some solid traits to them that make them worth using. Like, I think I put the comparison as Porom versus Pain versus Noctis to Mino yesterday evening, because I was thinking all 3 of them do very different things, but they're all very strong in what they do. And I was kind of surprised he said Noctis because I thought he would say Pain as his choice. But either way, it doesn't really make a difference. All 3 of those characters are strong in different ways. All of them will help you a lot in Cosmos if you are missing gaps in your kit that each of those characters fills.
Yeah. Well, if I only was able to pull on one, I'd have to pull on Yuna because I hate my gems. And I like to throw things in the toilet, so I'm going to pull on Yuna. But I certainly would not suggest anyone else pull on Yuna unless Yuna's one of your favorites. That's the only reason I'm pulling on Yuna. I certainly would recommend people pull on Noctis if they're looking for some damage dealing or they passed on Bane or whatnot. Not have. But Pain, a lot of people are talking about Pain. Pain is coming up on a lackluster banner. But very truthfully, a lot of the banners from this point forward are lackluster. If they don't have multiple EXs, what are they doing? I mean, it's not like anything on that banner is going to be particularly exciting anyway.
I will mention that Pain has a lot of things going to her, which we'll get to next week when she arrives, but she has a unique debuff, which means it's a lot harder for the enemy to resist it. She has a debuff aura and a buff aura tied to her EX. So she's bringing a lot to the team, and which gives her pretty good party utility that she will not overlap with other party members on. And that's always something to keep in mind. But we'll also talk about Noctis next because he's coming right around the bend too. All these characters are very strong, I think is the point I want to make.
Yeah, and I think that's right. I think, and we've said that, the characters that come out in Cosmos are going to be viable in Cosmos. They're all very strong. They're all useful. They're all interesting. A little less fanfare for Selfie and Prompto, I think, at the end of the month. But Selfie has a unique mechanic, and we just got some preliminary stuff on Prompto's EX Plus, and looks pretty interesting. So, so I don't think you're going to go wrong, and Sync's cool too. So I don't think you're going to go wrong pulling on any of those banners. If you don't have Ramza or Terra EX, that's not a bad banner to pull on either. Ramza and Terra get reworks. They're both fairly useful. Their EX, well, Ramza's EX is still good, but Terra's EX is still hot garbage. But yeah.
Eamon wanted to get a different point of view in, which is basically that, regarding our pulling strategies, it's fair, but he's saying there are certain exceptions. He lists Porom. He says he still thinks Porom is a good pull because she'll last into. She's a stopgap for chaos, which isn't too far, and also it isn't too long after that she gets her EX plus again and is back on the viable train. And so to reinforce that, I'm saying I guess there are certain picks that were like that, like say Cloud, who has been in the front. He's never been terrible, or if he has, it hasn't been long, right? Like out of the gate, his 15 CPU was among the best. Then out of the gate, his 35 was a game changer, so much so that we got a nerf version in GL that I'll always bring up as much as I can because I'll never forgive that GL got a nerf version of something. And then he got his EX, which lasted quite a while, and then he got his rework, and then he's getting his EX plus. So it's like, they can't go like 3-4 months without buffing Cloud to be meta relevant again. So
well, I have always said that the main characters, the protagonists, are good investments because they tend to get reworked more often. I mean, look how many times Cloud's been reworked. They tend to get
them do.
Yeah, not all of them, but the majority of them have some time to shine. There's not a lot of the protagonists who kind of stay on the bench for a very long time compared to characters like Cater and Lion and those kind of characters that are on the bottom of the barrel here. So yeah, I think
Eamon's sorry. Eamon's as a newer player is asking what is the story behind Cloud 35 CP. Cloud got a mini, not rework, but he got buffs following his 35 CP, which was his mighty cross slash added a significant amount more damage to cross slash, and he got an extra finishing touch ability use. Back then, when your only launcher was Dark Knight Cecil, and all of a sudden Cloud comes in with just as many launches with no penalty. Apparently GL, they held those buffs back until Cloud got his awakening.
They did.
Because they said that if they had incorporated it, Cloud would have been meta for way too long. So they wanted to hold back his buffs for another like 4 or 5 months just to make sure he wasn't meta. And
I think Joshua was quoted saying that on the stream when the Awakening Wave arrived, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was not happy about that.
There's only one protagonist from Final Fantasy IV. His name is Cecil. He's wearing Paladin armor, not Dark Knight armor. So I don't think that's a good argument. Sorry, Dark Knight Cecil fans. He doesn't count.
All right. Anything else?
Or not? Yeah, not Preesh. Yida. Yida's not going to count either. Hey, Chris. Thanks for the raid as we finish up here tonight.
Oh yeah, Strafe has a great point. It was like, hey, we can't give Cloud his buffs because he'll be meta too long, and then 2 weeks later, Saw's got his 35.
Yep. Yeah, that was an interesting time in the life of Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and we've been there through it all. Go back and listen to any of the previous 66 episodes, but you can listen to all of that hilarity as it occurred if you're bored some weekend, or you're in a hospital bed, or you have a large lawn that needs to be mowed. You can go download any of our previous podcasts and check that out. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I think that's probably going to be enough for tonight. Coming events, there's a lot of things happening and a lot of hyped characters coming, so hopefully you have some gems or you don't feel too bad if you have to skip them. Pain comes with Act 2, Chapter 4 for someone's sake, for Pain's sake. I don't know, for Yuna's sake. I haven't read the story. I don't know yet. We'll find out together. But Pain comes with that chapter. Noctis LC with Noctis's level 70 and rework. Sync events, and then level 70 Awakening Wave 2, which will contain... I'm right here. 7 Ferris, Terra, Ramza, Zac, and Yuna. One banner will have Ramza and Terra EXs. one banner will have Yuna's new EX. That's the banner that I will be pulling on. Hopefully, God willing, I will not have to spend a lot of gems on it, but I will be spending gems on it. You should feel bad for me, but she is a favorite, and we do always say pull for favorites, so I'm doubling down on the pull for favorites. And I'm going to summon Veil 4, and I'm just going to cry as my gems leave my gem stash.
Hey, it's okay. Nobody's favorite can be as bad as Kane EX in that launch. And I pitied that. So I don't think you're going to pity her. You're lucky.
Have you ever played Yuna in this game? Because...
But her X looks mighty decent.
It looks good. You know, it looks good. That...
But then you get to farm her artifact passives.
And you have to farm her special artifact passives.
You got to get those cursed artifacts. I forgot.
Yep. So, so it's going to be a good month for me. But, thank you all for joining us on Twitch tonight. Thank you for listening. If you're listening sometime next week, you can find all of our links to social media, our Discord chat. You know, if you want to get a hold of us, we do have an email. You can message me on Twitch. You can message me on YouTube. But the best way to get a hold of us is to either find us on Twitter, at FFTCC Podcast, or just join our Discord and you can just talk to us. We're just there. We hang out, and you can add us, or you can just message us, and we're just people. We're pretty easy to get a hold of. So feel free to jump on, get involved, ask your questions, and enjoy. Yes, we have the entire backlog of the second season of the Crystal Chronicles because we did a first season for FFRK. So we've been doing this for quite a few episodes, 130 episodes, I think. This is 67. And so we do thank you all for listening. For myself, Mark, for Mino Spellgood, for Kreese, aka Zerank, and for all of our content collaborators, for our producer, Pierre, thank you. For Jin Lee, who did all the work on our images and our badges, for Aeroli and Macnol and Inkwelder for all their good work, Quetz for all his good work, and so many more who are helping us out behind the scenes. Thank you all, and we wish all of you who are listening, part of our community, the best of luck, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.